Through the digital lens, practitioner's perspective decoded. Transformation requires an end-to-end mindset, a rethinking of ways to meet customer needs, seamless connection of work activities, and the ability to manage across silos going forward. Here, CXOs talk about the next wave of transformation, partnerships, and how they see a huge shift in the ecosystem-driven approach to scale. This session is moderated by Arjun Narayan, co-founder and chief product officer, Soroco. A technologist and an entrepreneur, Arjun loves exploring how advanced technology can help individuals and teams be their best. Joining Arjun, we have Seemantini Godbole, Executive Vice President, Chief Information Officer, Lowe, and Pawan Verma, Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer, MetLife Inc. Seemantini is a senior global technology executive with over 25 years of experience working with Fortune 50 companies across diverse operational and strategic roles in omni-channel retail, travel, airline, and hospitality domains. Pawan has been known for seeing technology solutions through the eyes of his customers, recognizing the need to balance high-tech and human touch to truly enable commercial success. It's over to you, Arjun. Take it away.
Thank you, Shreya. And folks, welcome to our session. We have a great one ahead in store for you. And this is talking about digital transformation. The thing that we all know is that this time around, there is an absolute tsunami of demand for digital transformation. But things appear to have changed significantly. What appears to have changed in this wave of transformation is that it's no longer top-down, but rather bottom-up, and it's being driven uniquely by the frontline experience. The frontline experience, by definition, is human-centric. It's an interaction between our customers and our frontline associates, mediated by technology. So many themes, digital millennials, the great resignation, remote work, etc., fit into this idea of transforming the human experience at the frontline. So, Pawan, you have an interesting experience. Transformation of the frontline is not just automation. How have you thought about this at MetLife? How does MetLife decide what parts of the frontline experience to change to keep it human-centric?
Thank you, Arjun, and thank you for having us here. And I'm honored to be joined with Seemantini for this dialogue. Before we start, for everything that we do here at MetLife, we're guided by our purpose, which is always with you, building a confident future. So if you look at that, we are always looking in every interaction, every customer journey into our purpose, always with you, building a confident future. Technology plays a critical role in bringing that purpose to life. So as we create our transformation journey and weave in the customer experience in that, we are always thinking about how we balance high touch and high tech. We realize that we need a lot of our customer experience to be centered on self-service, but there are times in our industry, especially, whether it is a life insurance product or disability product, when self-service is helpful, but in situations like, especially after somebody losing their loved one, if they're calling the call center or they're calling our customer service, during that time, you need that human connection. And we have seen that in last 2 years, especially. I mean, one of the examples that I will share is I've heard the call wherein single mom lost her life, and a 13-year-old daughter calls our call center, and she is the single survivor, and she is the beneficiary. She doesn't know anything about how these policies work. So when our team member is connecting and talking to her, it is not through the technology lens, it is through that human connection. That's why everything that we do, we are always balancing those not only cross-channel experience, but also right balance between high tech and high touch. As we optimize these solutions and these capabilities, we are focused on channels as well as human-centric design. Our digital transformation as well as automation, self-service, and every customer journey, irrespective of geography, product line, life, annuity, or dental insurance, or any product that we have, they're always guided by those customer journey. And that's what makes MetLife unique. We have a responsibility to help our customer during the best of their time or worst of their time. We recently have launched an app for financial well-being, because if you really see, for your mental well-being, the financial well-being plays a very important role. So this app called Upwise helps our customer do better financial planning. Right now, it is only launched in US, but those are some of the examples how we are bringing the high touch and high tech experience in our customer's life.
That's wonderful, Pawan. Thank you for that example. I think you really brought it to life, which is the frontline experience, which is the stuff that happens, outside of all our SAP systems and ERP systems, is where the real human connection is happening. And, there's probably no industry, out there that has experienced as much of a human connection over the past 2 years as your industry, Seemantini. Like the digital retail in general, and personally home improvement in particular, have been really hot for the past 2 years, right? And in the interactions between customers and in the organization has really stepped up quite a bit. Customers' aspirations and customers' inspirations have changed over the past 2 years. When you think about your organization at Lowe's, how do you think about being able to keep pace with customers' inspirations over the past few years?
Arjun, first of all, good morning to you and Pawan, and it's great to be on this panel. So I'm really glad to be here having this conversation. Like you said, things have changed so much. I mean, Zoom as a platform existed even before COVID, but Zoom has become a verb now. We all know about it and we use it in everyday life. And, I just feel like the number of changes that have happened in the last 2 years is just astronomical. And one of the things that happened in home improvement is home became much more than the place I live. It became my classroom. It became my gym. It became everybody's movie theater. It became place for entertainment for families. I mean, it was just everything. And I think what we saw from our customers is they were relying on Lowe's to fulfill those needs. And we feel fortunate to be in that place to be able to help in these situations. And on one hand, I feel like COVID is such a horrible disease and has caused havoc with our lives. And on the other hand, if there is any silver lining at all in this, if at all, Pawan was describing really heartbreaking incidents, and they absolutely overpower everything. But if there is a silver lining, what I feel is that digital transformation got 10x accelerated in this time. I keep thinking, Arjun, if pandemic had happened 15 years ago, without same-day delivery, without having, Lowe's app and, being able to have a very omni-channel drive-up kind of experience, without Netflix, without DoorDash, without Zomato in India. I think that is the app right now, if I'm not wrong.
Right. Yeah.
If we didn't have those, how would we have worked through this pandemic? And so I feel like customers and our associates in the front line, their expectations have changed forever. And I think just digitizing on the fringes or on the periphery is not enough. You have to really digitize your whole business operations in order to give a very, very seamless experience to your customers and associates. So whether it's a shopping app, but all the way to a merchandising analyst who's trying to make pricing decisions, you have to really digitize it. And in Lowe's, we have been on that journey, and frankly, very successful. And we have gathered a lot of momentum in last 2 years.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Seemantini. We are all very grateful for the innovation that you're bringing to this industry. I certainly live and work out of my home, so we're grateful for that. Just to double clicking a little bit on the ideas that both of you threw out. One of the things that comes out at me is that, there is a reality to our colleagues' lives, right? They are on Zoom, they're on working on a variety of documents, applications, legacy, SaaS applications, working on a very, very wide spectrum, of software assets and document assets. And in some sense, trying to understand what they do so that we can really empathize with their lives and also transform the way they interact with customers is really hard. And this is one of the things that we do at Soroco. We try to fill in the blanks between all the applications views that you have and the reality of life at the front line for your associates and your customers. I'd like to take that conversation there, Pawan, back to you in a very sort of focused way, right? So I'll just call a spade. Like, I'd love to solicit your opinions, right? When we look at this experience that's happening on the front end for all of our colleagues working from home, etc., what, in your opinion, has changed from a talent perspective? What's different over the past 2 years?
Oh, that's a great question, and as I hear the example from Seemantini, or as we look at in our industry as well, I mean, we are customers as well. So we are not only working, but if you really think about what last year has done is people have taken a pause and really reflected on their life and really thinking about what matters. So the great resignation, it's real. So what the new talent is looking for, not only whether I can have a job or I can come and work 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatever the time is, they're also looking for meaning. They're looking for connection. They're looking for, does my work add value? And work-life balance absolutely matters to them as well. So the way customer expectation have changed in the same way, our talent expectation have changed. And I don't think it's going back. I think it can only change the way we work. It will change the way we produce these amazing products that both of us are sharing about. And in some ways, it all squarely ties back to the culture, the company culture. Are we creating those amazing, not only experiences for our customer, but are we creating those connecting experiences for our team members? Because the team members are the one, those are connecting all those dots and bringing those experiences to life. So I think for us, what we have seen, and I'm very proud to say that our purpose statement and our culture, the way we are connecting with our team members as well, virtually, physically, or otherwise, it just shows that what matters to them is the work, what matters to them is culture, what matters to them is the meaning on the work that they drive. The other silver lining that I see is that based on the digital transformation 10x that Seemantini talked about, which is absolutely real, the demand has increased as well. There were times in the past that it used to take from concept to realization longer time because we have to bring different stakeholders along. We have to do multiple iteration of those prototypes. And now it's not customer's expectation, it's a demand. Mm-hmm. And it changes the perspective when it becomes a demand. You look at any of the platform out there today, we are using that as a second nature. So it is really becoming a second nature for us to interact with these digital technologies. So for this reason, I think belonging and then having focus on diversity, having focus on really professional development, upscaling, rescaling, and utter focus on mental health as well as work-life balance. I think combination of those are really gonna give the fuel to our future talent workforce. At MetLife, we invest in our talent. We are focused on all of those talent that we looked at, because end of the day, we are in people business. That's what makes us strong today, tomorrow, and in future as well.
Thank you for that, Pawan. So back to you, Seemantini. Like when we were talking earlier, you mentioned this very interesting thought, and when all of us entered the workforce 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when all the cool tech that we got, our employers gave it to us, right? We got our laptops, we got our Blackberries, but it's completely changed, right, over the past 30 years. Like, what's happened on the personal technology side is so far ahead of what's been happening on the business technology side when it comes to the human experience and, all of that. So would love to hear your thoughts around this. Like, how has this played out at Lowe's in terms of the internal experiences that your colleagues and associates have? Like, how has that changed in your view over the past few years?
I think, to your point, shopping has completely changed, Arjun. I mean, to your point, we used to have all cool technology at work when we were, when we started work. And this whole concept of Cyber Monday in retail came from that. Like, you had this Thanksgiving weekend where you were shopping in the stores on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday you had to go to work. And that was the place where you had your computer. And so you were shopping from work. And so it was Cyber Monday. Well, every hour is a cyber hour now. You don't have to wait for Monday. So I think it's funny that sometimes when we think about the terminology that we all use, it was designed because of some of the, the trends that you just mentioned. So I think we have to think very differently about user experiences. You could be you just relaxing on your bed in the night just before going to sleep, and then you're using Lowe's app and kind of drawing inspiration. That's the time for inspiration. But in the morning, our pro customers wake up, and the first thing, 6 o'clock in the morning, they want to line up all their orders in the app, go do a curbside pickup, or go to the store and do buy online pickup in store, and just get to their job sites. And they may do all that shopping crack of dawn and get orders picked up before 8 a.m. in the morning. So we see all these trends, and we have to be very attuned to those trends and just make sure that we are supporting. Also, I mean, associates, I mean, they are saying, if I can stand in the aisle of a store and do a Facebook update and let my friends know how I'm feeling, but to check inventory, why do I have to go to the back of the store and access that terminal? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So we had to bring all the apps to their smartphones that are in their hands, issued by Lowe's. More than 100,000 of them is what we rolled out. And they can now stand in the aisle and just have Facebook-like ease and check on all the things that are going on from their work life. I'll just, I'll just add one thing to what Pawan was saying, which is about, talent, and you guys just talked about it. I mean, you are absolutely right. The talent landscape is changing. I mean, first of all, millennials are bringing completely new trends, and the generations behind them are bringing new trends to work. And I think the leaders, I mean, right now, it's a test of our leadership. I think these changes are forever. Every company is becoming a tech company. And on one hand, we want to hold everybody accountable for performance and run a really tight ship. And on the other hand, if you nitpick too much, there are so many jobs outside that your employee is going to get frustrated with you. And you have to strike that balance of extreme empathy and at the same time, maintain that discipline. And that's the tightrope walk that we are all doing. And I think this is the time to kind of bring up our best leadership skills to navigate through these times.
Thank you, Seemantini. I like this concept of discipline and empathy, right? Because I think, one of the things that I find really interesting about this wave of transformation is that it's kind of blurred the boundary between who is a colleague and who is a customer, right? So in your example, Seemantini, the person waking up in the morning, opens up the Lowe's app and then goes to work at MetLife, or the MetLife associate, is working from home and then, wants to buy something from Lowe's, right? So, and when customers are speaking, like a customer is also an associate is a customer. There's a big blurring between these experiences, right? And puts a lot of pressure, bottoms up. Like, it's very hard to get an associate to be an advocate for you if they don't feel like it's a good customer experience. It's really hard, right? And so I'd love to talk to you guys, or just get some closing thoughts from both of you, maybe you, Seemantini, first, about this point in the enterprise where the customer experience ends and the associate experience begins. It's always there. There's always a human being at the end of every digital channel. Like from the bottom up, this boundary is blurring. How do you think about that? About your associates and potentially being your customers and vice versa. Love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, and Arjun, you're very right. I mean, all boundaries are blurring, and the blurring has in last 2 years. Like sometimes you wonder whether you're working from home or you're living at work. So every boundary has been kind of blurred and mixed up. And I think on one hand we can think about it as a great challenge, but on the other hand it's a great opportunity, and that's how we think about it, because we have 300,000 associates who are working front lines, but also are our customers. And we absolutely get a lot of focus groups and feedback from that, from our customers. Our pro customers are really important to us, and we get a lot of feedback through those sessions and following them and watching them, how they live their life and decorate their houses, and buy a pro customers, how do they buy lumber and stuff like that. But I'll also tell you, our store associates give us some of the best feedback, because to your point, they are living this dual life of being associate, but as well as customer. And they sometimes tell us, you know what, when I'm selling appliance, this happens. And when I'm buying appliance, actually, I wish it was these many choices and these options, and I wish delivery worked the other way. And we just soak it up, because really it's very helpful in order to your user experience, your product management and engineers can greatly benefit from that. And we love that opportunity of blurring lines and listening to all this feedback.
Yeah. And that, Seemantini, is precisely what I do at Soroco as well. We're building a technology product that's called the Work Graph. It really is about understanding these interactions between customers and our colleagues at the last mile, so that we can understand that kind of dark matter that happens that isn't in our ERP system or isn't in our CRM system, but it is the reality of people's lives. And Pawan, you had a very interesting thought around how one can empower associates at this thing, right? You talked about not associates, but super associates, or not super associates, but super advocates. Would love for you to sort of close off our session, by sharing your thoughts on that trend.
No, I appreciate it. I think as Seemantini talked about, the lines are truly blurring, but I think it's a really good thing, because lot of innovation coming out of it. I mean, one of the examples that I will share with you is we offer pet insurance. And if you think about during last 2 years, there is more pet adoption in US, because people are at home and they're thinking about, and we sell pet insurance as well. And there's a lot of innovation on what kind of feature enhancement we should do in our app, or what kind of interactions we should have with the pet parent. That all came from our team members. We are really privileged to have a big customer, big brand as our customer. Every MetLife customer is every MetLife employee our customer as well, for one or other product. So a lot of innovation comes from them every day. We look at our workflow, how the claim process should work, and if there is a 10 step in that, we get productive feedback saying, can we cut the step, because the step is not adding any value through the customer lens. It is not adding any value, not only for us, through the customer lens. And what that does is it creates the cyclic process of creating those amazing experiences and thoughts. And I think one of the things that we pride ourselves is, it's not the big, huge idea that you need to take and implement and then it's the smaller ideas. It's the combination of smaller ideas. We as human want some of these things to have life. We want that you are shopping at Lowe's, or you are going to the dentist and you have a dental insurance from us, and your product. We make sure that those expenses are transparent. They are value added, and all of those suggestions that come from our team member, and we implement them. I think this just adds up to the customer experience and the journeys every day. And I like those smaller experience and smaller suggestion more so than a 3-year-old long term, because to me, assessing the value in that is more harder than those smaller interactions.
100% right, Pawan. And that's a good cycle back to how we started this, with saying that what's different about this wave of transformation, it's not about doing a 3-year app install or 3-year like lift and shift. It's about actually honoring the demand that we're getting for transformation that's coming from the front line. It's coming human scale. It's coming from our associates. It's coming who are also our customers, who are saying that, look, guys, thank you for all of these applications that you've given me, but there's a reality to how I use them. And I would like that reality to be known and be the source of all of these little ideas for transformation that collectively add up and then build a sort of a very human-centric experience at the last mile. At Soroco, we have a software product called Scout that does precisely that. It connects the dots between all of the various assets that you have and the experiences that your customers and your employees are having. We found it amazing because there's so much that you don't know, right? And unless you look, you're not even going to see it. And so we've been using that as well as an inspiration over the past few years. So I think really wonderful pulling all of us together. Same themes, I find it interesting across industries. Frontline experiences are changing, need to be human-centric. Innovation is not top-down, it's bottoms-up. It's not once in a while, it's always on, Seemantini. And talent matters, right? Talent experience and customer experiences matters. And so with that, I think, our session is done. Shreya, over to you. And, thank you all for joining. Thank you for your time. And, we hope all of the folks listening to this had a wonderful experience. Because we certainly did. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, there you go, human centricity at play again. Thank you, Arjun, and thank you all for such wonderful insights. As the panel deliberated, the current time is a test of our leadership. And it's important to strike a balance of extreme empathy and maintain discipline with our talent as we navigate the need for organizations to have high tech and high touch.